Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Craig Concello. I'm from Picuris Pueblo. I'm the governor, our current governor this year. As you see with our video, and I brought some of my team members up with me. My lieutenant will introduce himself as well. But I'm happy to share this project with you. It's kind of different. Instead of seeing a computer screen right here and to unmute myself, I don't have to worry about that now. So I'm glad to be here with you guys. And who has the?
I have it. Good afternoon. My name is Les Rubin. I'm the finance director for Picuris. What we're going to do is basically do a PowerPoint presentation for, let's say, 5-10 minutes. And then because we've been functional for all these years, we really want to open it up for questions to the governor, lieutenant governor, and to the tribe in regards to what have been the effects of what we have done on project one and also the second project. So that's sort of what our 30 minutes is going to be like, but we'll go pretty quickly on this. I want to acknowledge that since we opened up the first solar project in 2018, I think the tribe has had visitors from New Mexico tribes. At least 2/3 or 3/4 of the tribes have come by to see what Picuris is doing. We've also had international national interns from Sandia Labs and others to come visit. So then that's an open invitation in regards to what the tribe is doing, again, for all these years. So the first area that I want to talk about is hope it works. Okay. A little bit about Picuris Pueblo. Picuris Pueblo is a little more than 300 members. Of that, a little more than 200 members live on the reservation up in southern Taos County. And basically under the leadership of this tribal council, there's been an ongoing process in regards to the importance of solar and what these projects are about. Those have been up to Picuris. It's in a valley location surrounded by the mountains, not just the mountains of the tribe, but also of federal land like Carson National Forest. This is the location. We're in southern Taos County, up on the high road to Taos. Just some pictures. We have over 60 bison. In COVID, we basically have harvested food for the tribal members under the pandemic, and we continue to do that for the bison herd. The considerations have been traditional values of the tribe and its ongoing relationship to Mother Earth. It's the issue of self-determination, remove its dependency on third-party utility infrastructure, protect itself from external threats, wildfires, may impact cybersecurity, terrorism, and decrease the overall cost of electricity. In Humboldt County, there's a tribe, Blue Lake Rancheria, and they're one of the first ones in regards to sort of self-determination. When the California fires hit, they were cut off on their utility structure, and they had the ability to basically self-determine their own electricity and generate, and became an American Red Cross site. So that was a very big point, and a lot of the tribes in California were very aware of the issue of that self-determination. And we've been working with the tribe of understanding what their situation is. The interesting piece of Blue Lake Rancheria is they have natural gas. And in Picuris, up in the Penasco Valley, it's 11 miles, 12 miles from Dixon down the canyon is the last line for natural gas. So the 5,000 people that are in Picuris Pueblo and the villages in Penasco Valley are subject to propane. And as everybody probably knows, the price of propane is going through the roof. So this issue about electricity, potentially electricity shifting in regards to heating opportunities is a very big thing that needs to be considered. Because again, propane is not regulated. So that's another whole issue. We were the first tribe to have a first net zero building for our fire station. This was years ago, showing that the tribe has always been considering those kind of issues and how to deal with energy conservation. Our first solar array was a 1 megawatt project. It was funded from DOE. We had to do matching conventional loans, and the project started in January of 2018. The basic parameters of that project is that we have a power purchase agreement. The amount of solar electricity generated goes straight into the grid. We get paid for that. But then in regards to, that's the revenue side. On the expense side, the tribal buildings, households, economic development projects, they're all subject to, like any other consumer, and under PRC regulation. So obviously, you want to have a surplus in regards to that difference between the cost of what it is that you're getting in your revenue versus, what you're paying. What we do is that we are able to, with that surplus, is during the 8 months, summer, spring months, we subsidize every tribal member $50 on their bill. It comes straight out. It is a credit on their Kit Carson bill, and in the wintertime, they get a credit of $75. And so the tribal members see a direct impact on the first solar array. This is from the Taos News. We're about a little more than 3,800 panels. And obviously up in the mountains, there's issues in regards to when it snows, to clear out the snow and to do the project. So it's labor intensive. There are machines similar to what you see in the car wash with brushes that you can put on and do that, but we haven't gotten to that point. We use labor when it's a strong snowfall. The second solar project has been funded by DOE. There's been a period of time that we had to do some shifting in regards to the project with parameters, because we were initially under the Housing Authority. That's been taken care of. And the second project, we're able to be funded by DOE. There's a matching requirement. Wells Fargo, through using grid alternatives, said if you're approved, there should be consideration that a tribe that gets approved of a DOE needs matching funds, can get funds for that. We received $100,000 from Wells Fargo for that. And because there was still a remaining amount, we reached out to foundations that were interested in renewable energy. And the good news is the 11th Hour Project has funded us for our remaining amount of matching funds. The 11th Hour Project is an interesting project. It's a family foundation, and the family is Eric Schmidt from Google, who's interested in renewable energy and is interested in Indian country. So at least we know as an identification that there's a foundation that's interested in funding tribes to do this kind of work. So we're funded on that side. There's a need for an energy storage component. The funds we got from DOE does not include that. And we've reached out to the Office of Electricity for grant funds. They've been supporting us through the Sandia Labs, and Stan Attesy is here today, that's involved with the Energy Storage Group and Sandia Labs doing technical support, and they've been extremely helpful. And also Stan's group out of Sandia Labs supports other tribes in regards to the same situation. So they're available to tribes for technical support that's not only support technically, but also from an economic standpoint analysis. Is there enough funds? How does that work, et cetera? So again, thank you, Stan. And we'll be finishing that analysis and requesting from the Office of Electricity funds for the energy storage component and the correct sizing. This energy storage analysis that the Sandia's lab is doing is looking at Pueblo's use and storage of solar for themselves, purchasing power from the grid when necessary, and selling the excess power. So all of those particular pieces need to be thought through. So the bottom line is it's a business plan. It's a business plan in regards to looking at the revenue generated, the various expenses, and the ongoing maintenance of that. The cost of electricity on the second project will be considerably less than the present cost. And the major reason is that the primary electricity generated that goes into the tribal buildings and the households is not subject to PRC regulation. It's not up in the grid. It's prior to getting to the grid. So the overall cost of that will be substantially less than what the cost is consuming from the grid. And the overall goal is that with the combination of both projects, we believe that tribal members will be subsidized completely on electricity. There'll obviously be look at usage and those kind of things, but again, that's the overall goal of the project. This is a little schematic in regards to the fact that besides energy, the energy generation that's needed for the tribal buildings and the households, there's also the issue of the reliability, that what happens if the utility grid goes down. And again, mentioned Blue Lake Rancheria, they were an American Red Cross site. They also were using a generator that was using natural gas. We can't use that. So if we have a backup on diesel generation or use our energy storage, we'll obviously have some key buildings like the administration so that the tribe can continue to keep on going. You would hope that the grid would not be down for a long period of time. But the issue of reliance of this is a key piece to what the tribe is concerned about. And again, this issue of not just sovereignty, but in regards to self-determination and reliability. And the relationship with Kit Carson is excellent, but in some of the tribes, in some of your areas, maybe the relationship is not as optimum with the utility companies, but something has to happen in regards to working together in regards to what your tribe's situation is, a utility company. Something has to be resolved, and that's why we keep on working with Kit Carson. One of the key questions as we're talking about having a situation where we're going to generate our own electricity for our buildings and households and economic development projects is who's going to maintain that and how is it going to be working on billing. So we requested from NREL a pre-feasibility about creating your own utility and how that utility would work. And there's several tribes in New Mexico that have their own utility group. We obviously want to talk to them about the processes and the issues about that. But that's one of the pieces. If you're self-determining, you're generating your own electricity and it's going into the households and buildings, then you have to have a utility capacity. And NREL funded a 35-page document talking about what are the key issues and what's the kind of budgetary issues of that's needed. And COVID identified very key the kinds of challenges that every tribal member had in regards to paying their electricity bill and how that would all work, et cetera. Last slide is we received a new capital outlay funds this last year, and it was for a natural resources building. And as I mentioned many times, the tribes have come to visit to see how we're doing it, et cetera. Clearly, people in New Mexico know that Picuris is not the most resource tribe there is. So they want to know how the economics worked, how in the end this all happened. And so when we open up the new natural resources building, we're going to have an educational room. And so we can make presentations and explain so that people can not only come out and look around and see the different systems that we're using, but we could also have PowerPoint presentations and guests and workshops to sort of explain this. So Picuris wants to play that role in regards to not just doing it themselves, but to share that information. So with that, we're hopeful that with Governor Concello and Lieutenant Governor Yaza and John Paul Romero, who was involved in the first project, that if there's any questions, we would love to get those any answers to that. And all questions are open. There's not one question that's not too simple or too hard or whatever. So with that, if anybody wants to raise their hands or ask a question of what we're doing, this is the time.